Hey guys, this is going to be my very first YouTube video about how we raise our animals. Tonight we're going to take a look at our pigs. Right now they're out on pasture. They've got this spot pretty well torn up. I moved them here on Sunday and they've ate pretty much everything except for mare's tail and a few weeds. This one here you can see is eating the mare's tail, so they will eat it. This one over here is cleaning up some grass. As you can see, they're extremely muddy. The reason we do this is pigs don't sweat, and outside, especially like today, it's 88 degrees outside, and they need a place to root around and wallow. Helps them cool off. You might also see the trampoline behind them. During the day, they lay under this trampoline and they get shade. Helps them cool off. Back behind there, you can see their feeder. You can see they're having a hell of a good time. This trampoline was free. I have not seen anybody else use a trampoline for shade, but this was given to me for free. It had a couple holes in the top, and the parents didn't want their kids jumping on it. So a free shade structure, which is exactly what we want. The fence around here is Premier Fencing, company Premier, and it's an electrified fencing. We train these pigs to the electric fence when they're very young. They still test it out, but we use a charger and a battery right here to keep it charged, and they'll touch it every once in a while just to make sure it's still hot, but other than that, they stay away from it. We rotate these pigs every few days. As you can see, they're very destructive. We don't want to ruin the land too bad. We're still working on how often we move the pigs. As you can see behind me, this is where they were a few days ago, and they tore this up pretty good. About a day before I was about to move them, it rained, and it only takes pigs a day to really tear up some ground. But this place here, they put their manure on, and it will start growing back with grass, and I will show you guys the process of how the land recovers after pigs. This was the spot before that. We still have some dead spots, but the grass is starting to come back. You can kind of see the line here where the fence was, where the grass is starting to come back even more. The ground is starting to recover. And the reason we do this is because it doesn't take any sort of iron, meaning tractors, to move their manure around. We place it exactly where we want to. The spot before that is right here, past this tall patch of grass where the hose is laying. You can see we had a really wet spring, and the ground is kind of unstable here. The grass isn't growing back. That was a mismanagement on our part. But you can see the grass is starting to recover fairly well. The spot that doesn't have grass is probably where their feeder or their shade structure was, right here. But the grass is really starting to come back. And here is their first shade structure before we put the trampoline in there. And you can see this spot, the grass is really starting to recover. Nice, full, lush grass. Starting to gain a lot of height. And that's exactly what we want. We still have weeds in here. But the pigs eat the weeds. You can see it's really starting to look good. And from here up into the fence was the shot before that. You can see we mismanaged our plot. We left them in here too long. You can see the dead spot where there is no grass. That is right around the feeder. That is where they trampled on the heaviest, and the compaction just will not let grass grow there. That is our fault. But you can see the diversity. Just 2 years ago, this was a grain field. There was no grass. This had been sprayed with glyphosate to kill all the weeds. There was absolutely no no sort of soil cover. And you can see just with a little bit of disturbance how much grass can come back in a short amount of time. This was the spot before that, right along the tree line. This provided some shade. You can see this real thick grass right here. This is where a lot of the manure was deposited, right around where the feeder was. You can see where the feeder was again, because the compaction was so bad, will not let grass grow back. But right next to it, where all the manure was deposited, the grass is lush. The spot before that, we've got Queen Anne's lace. At least that's what I call it. Weeds starting to come back. And we move along. The spots before that, the grass is really thick and starting to recover. So you can see what looks like a barren spot when they're done with it, with all that manure and all that urine and all that disturbance. It provides a thick ground cover. And that's what we're doing to heal the land. We're taking what was barren ground after crops. We've never planted a seed out here. We've never put an ounce of fertilizer out here. The soil is starting to recover. The grass is starting to come back. You can see down below the surface, the grass is getting really thick. I'd say in this spot here, it's probably 50% covered. Other spots are maybe 10 to 20% covered. But it just takes time. And it takes animals. And where they first started, this was the right across my driveway, was the first spot they were in. We got these in late April. And you can see seed heads starting to come back. Grass really starting to grow. It's starting to get thick in here. So next year there will be even more forage for these pigs. A lot of people think pigs just eat grain, and they don't. They really, really like to forage. They like to root around, look for grubs, look for roots, especially roots of perennial plants like thistle, Johnson grass. They can clear out a thistle patch in a hurry. You can see up here where the fertilizer was deposited how much dark greener it is. Really looks good. So this is what we're doing. This is how we're raising our pigs. We're moving them when the soil is disturbed enough that we find it suitable for grass to start to come back. We're still playing with management. That's a process on us, not the pigs. Then you can see out here where we planted pasture for cows, how nice and dark green that is. We got oats out there, timothy, orchard grass, brome, clover, a little bit of alfalfa. And that's going to be our future grass-fed lot for beef. And over here you can see our chicken structure. We move the chickens every once in a while. We move them probably once a week. Chicken manure is really high in nitrogen. And I've actually have these chickens in my lawn. What I figured when I built my house was going to be nice, perfect lawn, looked like a golf course. I soon figured out was a lot of money in fertilizer, a lot of money in chemicals, and a lot of time for mowing. These chickens love the clover in my yard. Many people would look at this and say, it's a terrible looking yard, but the chickens absolutely love it. This is their house that we close them up in every night. It's got ventilation up top. We have enough room in there for about 100 chickens. We let them out every morning, close them in every night. We move them about once a week to deposit their manure in exactly the right spot. Once I get cattle and they eat down the grass out here, I will move them right behind the cattle and they will scratch through the manure patties, eat the fly larvae, spread the manure patties out, and deposit their manure right behind the cattle, which will build organic matter in the soil. And that's our plan. That is our number one goal, is to build organic matter. I had my soil tested right before we started this operation, and it was about 3% organic matter. I hope to get to 10 to 12% organic matter in about 10 years. That is my hope, at least. And we are going to use animals to do that. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. I apologize for any bad video you guys watched. It's my very first video, but I'll continually be making videos to keep you guys up to date on what we're doing. Thanks for watching.